Easy guys, Dom here from Cringy Dad Gaming. So in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Crew 2. We're going to be recording this live. We're going to drive from Seattle to Chicago. Along the way I'm just going to discuss my thoughts on the new game compared to the original. And, you know, just what differences I've spotted so far from playing this and, you know, my feelings on it. There is no music due to copyright reasons, so you will have to listen to the sweet sound of the Audi TT RS Coupe that I'm driving here. So one thing I've noticed within this game so far is they've definitely improved the visuals. They're still not that great in some of the built up locations, although they've done really well to keep a lot of the main sightseeing opportunities available to you, so you will come across a lot of well-known landmarks and photo opportunities to use within the camera system that they've built within the game. But the actual overall graphics within the built-up areas, you'll find that it's kind of a lot of copy and paste on some of the shops. You go down the street and find it's kind of like the same pharmacies copied and pasted all the way down the street. So looking really deep into the surrounding graphics, you're not going to get a lot of eye candy. Although, you know, the overall textures and colours are a lot better than the original Crew. Where it really shines is in more of the kind of outdoor open areas, so when you're kind of driving through deserts or driving through kind of wooded and mountainous areas, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more to look at. But really, some of you may say, well, I'm not really playing a driving game to be looking at my surroundings. Then, you know, if really you're concentrating on the actual cars and the way they drive, the handling and overall kind of look and feel of some of the cars, it's pretty good. It's kind of not the most responsive driving game I've ever played, but it's definitely getting there. They've definitely made a lot of improvements. The overall sound of the vehicles is very good and relatively immersive with, you know, the sounds of the world. So let's drive a little bit and kind of just, you'll see what I mean as we kind of go along. They've added some wildlife elements into the game as well, which is quite a nice little touch. Sometimes you get a wild animal run across the road in front of you, or see them kind of grazing in certain areas. Again, just kind of add a little bit more realism to the game itself. The day and night cycles work quite nice with some nice colours from the sunrises and sunsets, and you do get different weather patterns as well, right from kind of rain and electrical storms through to kind of foggy, wintry atmospheres as well. Adds a nice little touch to the game, nice little sheen on it, which is quite cool. Also, not forgetting that there's different camera views, so by pressing right on the D-pad you can drive the vehicle in a number of different views depending on your overall taste. Some of these feel really odd to me. I do like how that when you're actually inside the car from this view, you notice how a lot of the outside sounds have been kind of muffled down by the fact that you're inside the car. This works quite nicely when you're listening to music. And when we talk about music, I think there's about 6 radio stations across a few different genres, on average around kind of from anything from about 28 to over 30 different songs on most radio stations. So there's a few decent tracks to listen to, but I can see them getting pretty boring relatively soon after a few hours of play and listening to the same songs. So I'm sure a lot of you guys will probably be listening to your own music as you play this in the end, but it's worth a listen for a few times on some of the radio stations. I guess one of the main things that I've really noticed a big change in this game is the fact that now you can not only race on land, but you can race on sea and in the air as well. So they've incorporated boats and planes into the game, which some of you may like. For me, I'm not too bothered about it. You know, the kind of aerial system felt very similar to me to something like Grand Theft Auto, flying planes in that. I soon got bored of that, but then again, racing it with other people, some of you guys might like that. It's not really my thing. The boats, very similar thing as well, really. It just kind of felt like Grand Theft Auto a little bit. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they're trying to appeal to people who have been playing the Grand Theft Auto online and kind of getting involved in a lot of the race updates and that Rockstar have been adding to it. But, you know, I suppose more variation is good to get some of you guys on board. Me personally, I'm more into the kind of land racing, and just to kind of spice it up a little bit, they've added a lot of new vehicles. You can now have motocross bikes, a lot of selection of different motocross bikes in this, as well as land-based cars and buggies and 4x4s and whatnot. Again, all the same sort of customization options that you would have had in the first game, but you will find that it's now kind of like a loot system. So when you win races, at the end you'll get like loot drops that you have to drive over to pick up. Different colours varying on their different rarity or different level from the vehicle itself, which we can probably take a quick look at now, just give you an idea of what I mean. So on the Audi here, if we just go to the performance tab, notice here we've got a few different things that we can unlock here. So you pick some of these up as you go along. Some of these are random, so they're random pickups. Each one has different stats, so you can kind of switch these out dependent on the type of race or the type of surface you're driving on with the tyres and whatnot. So kind of pretty basic really in terms of what you can do. You can't, at least at this stage, I've not noticed you being able to actually manually tweak any of these, you know, so sometimes you can tweak certain elements within the performance and the handling, like with the suspension and the, you know, some of the engine components. In this you can't, or at least I haven't come across that option yet. For me, I'm not too bothered about that. I'm not a tinker or tinkerer when it comes to things like that. I don't really need to tinker with stuff. I'll just leave it as it is and just trust that if it works, it works. I think one of the main things that kind of let me down a little bit in this game is the actual storyline. I kind of feel it's a little lazy, if I'm honest. I mean, the first game, The Crew, yeah, it may have looked like a kind of PlayStation 2 game in terms of its graphics in places, but it actually had a little bit of a story behind it, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of like a kind of Fast and Furious style story. So you're kind of playing as a guy trying to get revenge for his brother's death and trying to infiltrate a gang by working with the police as a kind of undercover racer. And I really like that idea. I thought they could really build on that story. And in this, it's nothing to do with that at all. You're some unknown guy who wants to work his way to the top of the kind of championships in terms of becoming a professional racing star, and you are rewarded with followers for all your daring, you know, driving feats that you know, winning races and doing mega jumps. And okay, so they've brought it up to date a little bit with the whole, you know, how everyone's after followers. And while we're talking about followers, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, because yeah, that's all that matters in the world. Or at least that's pretty much a big thing in this game, at least. But yeah, seriously, I will cry if you don't like the video. But anyway, so I don't know, I mean, I'm still not really that sucked in by that, and to be honest with you, some of the voice acting was cringeworthy to my standards, at least, and I was literally sitting here cringing to some of the voice acting at the beginning of the game. The opening cutscene, I was like, wow, those guys just sound like they've just got someone off the street to voice act, and it was just really, really bad. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my feelings on the actual voice acting within the game and the actual story itself. But you know, I'll still give it a chance because, like, you know, I've not really progressed too much in the game yet at this stage. I've actually just been doing a lot of kind of free drive, which is like what I'm doing now, where we're just driving around, just exploring the different areas of the USA. I was quite impressed with some of the landmarks and the actual realism of, you know, the built-up areas. If you know kind of like a city well, you'll see that they have done quite well to recreate a lot of the main sites. I personally have never driven through the USA, so I'm kind of only going by what I've seen on, you know, TV, maps, films, etc, etc. So if any of you guys are from the US and you've driven this map, then let me know how accurate you guys think it is. Right, so now as you can see, we started coming to an area that's got a little bit more kind of greenery within it, and I don't really know why I started this live video in the night cycle, because you're not going to be able to see much at this stage, really, and I'd say the graphics in the game are hidden by the night cycle, but at least maybe we'll get a sunrise in the game in a little while if I continue driving to the next destination. And the sunrises are quite good in this game. They are really well done in terms of colours. I like a sunrise, I like a sunset. I don't really see sunrise much, so... In terms of the online play, I've not come across any connection issues at this point. I do like how sometimes if there's too many drivers, you know, online and they're kind of trying to harass you, sometimes the game does just make them kind of disappear. Well, they're still there, but they're just on your screen, they just disappear. So they're not getting in your way, they're not disrupting your game too much. In this sort of game, you can get a lot of trolls, like with one of the other driving games that I'm not going to name actually. People were just really trolling quite a lot, ramming into you all the time and trying to block you in. And it got a little bit frustrating. So within this game, it seems like they've kind of put a system in place where that doesn't happen. Or at least there's not that much. You know, if you're racing and you racing against someone like this guy here, and he's going to ram into you, but you find if they do it too many times, they'll just disappear off your screen. Let's try and get away from this guy anyway, because I can't try and race him and not get knocked off the road and kind of discuss the game all at the same time, because I'd be deemed as multitasking, which obviously I can't do as a man, so let's not go there. But I would like to know at this stage how far we are away from Chicago. Okay, so we're about halfway, or just over halfway. So, you know, you can see the scale of the map. It's still the same, I think, really, in terms of its size as the first crew. So I don't think they've really changed anything there. I guess why would they? They put a lot of work into the original map. So, and that's actually another thing I want to point out before people think I'm being a bit too harsh. There is a big leap in the graphics from the first game in some of the areas, and I guess, and I know they're not going to be as good as some games purely for the fact of the size and scope of this game. So I think they've really you know, really done a good job, you know, with the, you know, Ivory Tower have done a really good job with the game from what I've played of it so far. But one thing I would say is there going to be enough content in this to keep someone like me playing? I don't know. I do like a good racing game, but I do find sometimes they do get a bit boring quite soon. So, you know, for me, I get bored very quickly of games. There has to be something that really I can get my teeth into. Is there going to be enough content in this? I don't know. There's a few different game types in it. Oh, watch the wall. I'm concentrating, you see. That's what happens, guys. We talk and drive at the same time. Maybe they could use that clip as, you know, a way to make people aware of the dangers of driving and talking. Right, so we're getting a little bit of a sunrise coming up over here, so that's nice. Let's not miss that. Just while the sun is rising, I'm just going to pull over for a minute, and I'm just going to have a quick look on the map, just to have a look at some of the race types and things you can find. So ground drift is what it sounds, ground jump, what it sounds. So these things you can kind of try and beat the highest scores. You can try and challenge your friends if you want to. Forest escape, these are things like where you've got to try and escape a certain area before the ring catches up with you. So it's almost like trying to outrun the gas in H1Z1 or the storm in Fortnite, if you want to look at it like that. So that's quite a cool little challenge. It's not bad. There are actual real trials where you race against other people. Like there's this Strip South Street Race in Vegas. You've got a freestyle aerial trial, and then if you go over to like the East Coast over here, go down to Miami, you'll have a few things down in Miami. You've got some stuff up in New York, pro racing boat trials, high speed drift rally raid. some things out in the desert, like the off-road races and whatnot. And the list goes on and on and on. There's loads of this stuff in this map. So, a good variety of different types of races and game modes. Alright, let's hit the road, Jack. Let's see if we can get to Chicago before the sun comes up. Actually, I think I've already missed that opportunity. Actually, I think the sun's already coming up. One thing I have missed in this game is the ability to be able to put on a main beam on the headlights. I know that probably sounds really silly, but I do notice in some areas it's a little bit too dark. Maybe I need to adjust the brightness on my screen. But yeah, I do think like sometimes I'm coming up dark areas and you sometimes hit things. Maybe because I ain't got my driving glasses on, who knows. But yeah, there's no main beam in the game, so at least if there is, I haven't found it yet. I've had a good play around with the controls, as I always do, to try and find if there's any hidden ones, and there's not really. There is this nice little... oh look, moose! Oh wow, invincible moose. There is a little shortcut button by pressing triangle. One cool little feature I like is live replay, where you can actually create a live replay of some of your driving. So potentially if you've just done a really sick jump, you can actually go back and replay it and record it, and there's a kind of little video editor and stuff which you guys can play around with. I'm not going to go into it now because it will take a while, but as you can see, if I was to continue with this, it will probably show you me run over the moose. We'll hit that moose that we just saw. You can pause it and you can remove the UI and you can take pictures, and there's a free mode camera as well. There's a landscape camera, vehicle camera, in-game free camera. Obviously what it says, it will let you kind of move around and adjust the height using the trigger buttons, and we can kind of take some sick pictures. So let's just take a picture of me looking really cool in my vehicle, shall we? We can use this for the thumbnail of the video. Alright, sweet. So, yeah, cool. Some cool little features there. I know they're not that dissimilar to other driving games out there, but still, you've got some tools to play around with in the game. So, well, we're definitely not getting to Chicago before sunlight now, because it's sunlight, it's daytime. That may be quite boring, but I think some of my favourite areas in this game are kind of the desert and arid areas, so I really liked the Grand Canyon area in this game. It's really cool. Just kind of reminds me of westerns, and I'm a big fan of Red Dead, so there you go. Alright, we'll put our foot down a little bit then. Driving in this game is nothing like driving in real life, and I do think if you do get a chance actually, or if you have got one already, a proper steering wheel, it would really make a big difference to this game, I think, in terms of the handling. The sensitivity, I don't think there's much option to be able to really change the kind of input of the actual sticks on the controller, the dead zone and whatnot. Saying that, I haven't really had a look that much, so I've just piqued my own interest actually. Did I really look too much in the controls? See what the sensitivities and that are? Yeah, there is. So steering linear, dead zone. So yeah, I just not really played around with it and missed it, but that's quite good. So if you, like me, are maybe struggling with some of the handling or some of the sensitivity of the sticks, there is a way to change the controls. So that's good. That's good to know. I've just noticed there was mapping there as well, so I think you might be able to remap buttons as well. But I'm not going to cover off everything because, as I said, this is just a live drive at this point. I'll do my best to stay on the road. So if you guys haven't had a chance to play The Crew 2 yet and you've got any questions for me, you can pop them in the comments and I'll try and answer them best I can. And just while I'm making a little bit of a plug, if you guys are on Facebook, don't forget to join our new gaming group on Facebook, and if you go to the groups and just search for the group Gamers Unite, join there, and again you guys can maybe post your Crew 2 screenshots if you've got some really cool screenshots, some cool video you want to pop up of your mega jumps, or just got any questions regarding the game or any issues you got. And yeah, the gaming group is slowly growing, and I just think it's a cool place for us to all come together and talk about everything gaming. So here we go, look, the sun is coming up. You see what I mean? It really does start looking beautiful. I am noticing a little bit of popping here and there, and but nowhere near as much as in some games. It is very minimal, so again I think they've done a really good job of the final product of this game. But it's not quite out yet. It's out on the 29th, I think, 29th of June, so not long now, just under a week away. Nice nitrous, yeah. Obviously we've got nitrous. You're not going to really play many. Oh, not going to play many driving games without nitrous. Although you've got to be careful though, because it does make you ram into the barriers like that if your brakes aren't upgraded. This car at this moment in the game is relatively low in terms of its build. So once I max this out, it's going to be a pretty beastly car. There's like there's loads and loads and loads of cars. I'm not even going to attempt to try and talk through all the different vehicles in this game, and that is again one of its strong points. I think there's a lot of really nice cars. Some of them are, by the looks of it, maybe behind a paywall. Oh yeah, I know, I had to say it, I had to mention the dreaded word. I haven't even checked it out yet because I personally try and stay away from these things. But if you notice up in the right hand corner, there's a little blue circle and it says CC in it. I think that means crew credits, maybe. I don't know what they're calling them, but some vehicles are extremely expensive if you use the currency you earn in game, but buying it with real money it's a lot less. So they're trying to maybe not put it behind a paywall as such, but you've got to grind a little bit more for the vehicles to pay with the in-game currency. So yeah, my GPS is updating itself and it's getting me all confused. So yeah, I mean, some vehicles are unlocked, or some special vehicle types are unlocked through the Ubisoft Club. So like most Ubisoft games, you're going to probably earn Ubisoft points from, or certain things in game from completing certain activities. So that's cool. I do kind of like that. I do like being able to work towards something from the Ubisoft Club. We're almost to our destination now, guys, so we're coming into another city. There will be lots and lots of different areas with different kind of looks and feels to them to explore, and the whole of the US, it's just really too much for us to go through in one sitting. One sitting, yeah, you know what I mean. So if you guys like what you've seen so far of the game, or you like the video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And here we are at the memorial.